Hey everyone, today we're going to dive into the world of investor Peter Schiff. We're going to break down his super simple advice for anyone who's just starting out, but we're also going to look at his pretty stark warnings about the global economy so you can really get a handle on what it all means for you.
So let's just start right here, because this quote, this is the heart of Peter Schiff's message right now. Look, he's famous for making these really bold, sometimes controversial calls, and this one really sets the stage for everything else we're about to talk about. Okay, so you hear a warning like that, and it's easy to feel a little overwhelmed, right? But Schiff's whole point is to turn that feeling of uncertainty into an actual concrete plan. So let's dig into his very first piece of advice. His number one piece of advice is, honestly, refreshingly simple. It's not about finding some secret stock tip or learning a super complex strategy. Nope, it's all about using the most powerful tool you have in your arsenal right now, and that's time. Here's the key takeaway from Schiff. It really doesn't matter if you're starting with a little bit of money or a lot. The most important thing you can possibly do is just begin. The simple act of starting and getting your money into the market, no matter how small the amount, is the absolute bedrock of building wealth.
And this is the magic behind it all. This is why starting early is such a game changer. It's all because of something called the compounding effect. The best way to picture it is like a little snowball at the top of a big hill. As it starts rolling, it picks up more snow, getting bigger and bigger, and moving faster and faster. That is exactly what your money does over time.
And listen, don't think this is just some advice for the super wealthy. Schiff applies this exact same principle to anyone investing anywhere from $100 to $5,000 a month. The point is, this strategy is for everybody, no matter what your income looks like.
Okay, so you're ready to start. You're motivated. But then you look at the world of investing and, whoa, it can feel like a giant confusing maze. So where do you even begin? Well, for anyone feeling a little lost, Schiff offers a very specific shortcut. So instead of trying to become a stock-picking genius overnight, which is, incredibly hard, Schiff points beginners down a totally different path: mutual funds. Now, given his worldview, he's probably talking about funds that focus on international markets, or real stuff like commodities, not just the usual big American companies. And his reason for this is just really practical.
I mean, his logic is just super straightforward. As a beginner, you haven't spent years learning how to analyze companies, you haven't lived through the crazy ups and downs of the market, what they call market cycles, and let's be real, you probably have a day job. Mutual funds solve all three of those problems at once by letting you piggyback on the expertise of professional managers.
Now, let's pivot for a second. Let's go from your personal game plan back to that huge warning we started with. Because this isn't just some random guess he's making. Schiff's forecast is completely tied to his direct experience with the last major global meltdown, the financial crisis of 2008.
You know that old saying, history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes? Well, that's exactly what Schiff is seeing. He's looking at all the economic numbers today and seeing these clear echoes of the patterns that led up to the 2008 crash. For example, he sees the housing bubble back then, which was fueled by easy credit, as a kind of smaller version of what he calls today's everything bubble, in stocks, bonds, real estate, all of it, puffed up by years and years of government stimulus.
So he's basically using the 2008 crisis as a kind of blueprint. The lessons he learned from analyzing everything that led up to that disaster are the same tools he's using to read the economic tea leaves today.
So we have the beginner strategy, and we have the expert's warning. This brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. How in the world do you prepare for a future that seems so uncertain?
And this is an absolutely crucial point. Not even Peter Schiff claims to know the exact date that everything's going to go sideways. The future is always a mystery. And it's that very uncertainty that makes preparation the only logical thing to do.
So this is really the core message. This isn't about panicking, it's about being pragmatic. You acknowledge the signs are there, you accept that the timing is totally unknown, and then you pour all of your energy into the one and only thing you can actually control: your own preparation. And that's really where we have to leave it. According to Schiff, the patterns are there, and a major economic shift is on the horizon. So the only question that really matters is the one right there on your screen. What are you going to do with this information?